Mysteries. This week, the Black-Eyed Children. The legend of the Black-Eyed Children are said to have originated from a 1996 posting written by Brian Bethel, a reporter from Texas, relating to his alleged encounter with the children. Bethel has stated that he had an encounter with two such children in Abilene, Texas in 1996. He also claimed that a second person had a very similar and unrelated encounter. This second encounter is said to have happened in Portland, Oregon. Now, his stories gained such popularity that he published a FAQs website to keep up with the demand for information he was receiving about the Black-Eyed Children. Now, this urban legend took off from there, with Brian Bethel's stories becoming so popular. Brian even went on to a TV series called Monsters and Mysteries in America. After the show, legends of the Black-Eyed Children grew even more. Brian also wrote a follow-up article for the Abilene Reporter News, describing his experience once again, while maintaining that his experience was real and legitimate. In 2012, the popularity had grown so much that a horror film was made about the Black-Eyed Children. Now, that is where this legend is said to have started. But many people have said that the legend started back in the 1980s. Now, let's go over some of the attributes of these children. Most reports that comes from people are said that the first thing they notice as they see or feel their presence is just the uneasiness or fright that seems to just wash over them, even though they see nothing to cause this feeling. Feelings ranging from anxiety to just straight out terror at their presence. Then they will notice the eyes, with the eyes being as black as the darkest night. It seems most of the children that are being seen are said to be between 6 and 16. Some people have even reported the children as having demonic attributes, such as talons for feet and other strange anomalies. But for the most part, they are just normal looking children, except for their black eyes and the paleness of their skin. The children are also said to be wearing outdated or at least not the typical clothing of the times. The Black-Eyed Children also want something from you, like a ride in your car to somewhere, to letting them into your house. Something that involves you being in close quarters and behind closed doors with them. Now, the theories out there about the Black-Eyed Kids are that they are demonic in origin. There is even stories of them being vampires or even aliens out there as well. Now, I know they say this myth or legend began in 1996, but I did find a story out there that is said to be from 1950. If it is true and not a story, from after 1996 that was just put out there. Now, in this story, a 16-year-old named Harold was just out for a walk near his house in a small town in Virginia when he came across a young boy laying on a fence. Harold spoke to the young boy, saying hello. When the boy didn't respond to him, he decided to keep walking. As he turned to leave, the boy finally spoke, telling Harold that he wanted to go to his house. "You're going to walk me up to your house," said the mysterious boy. That's when Harold noticed his eyes. They were black as coal, Every instinct Harold had said to run. Yet he just stood there looking at the boy with the black eyes. Now, as the boy seemed able to read Harold's mind, he said, "Now, don't you run away from me. You're going to take me up to your house." That seemed to have been enough to snap Harold out of his trance-like state that he was in. As Harold started to run home, he could hear what sounded like a bobcat scream coming from behind him. He never looked back to see if it was the strange boy making the sound, so he wasn't for sure if it was him or not. But with Harold being terrified at this point, he just ran. When he made his way back to his house, he told his parents. And knowing Harold, his parents actually believed his story. As his father went out of the house with his gun in his hand, searching for what he thought could even be the devil himself, or at least one of his creatures. After looking for a while, he never seen the black-eyed child. Now Harold's mother demanded and took him to a local priest to be safe. With the blessing from the priest, Harold never seen the boy again. Now, like I said, this sighting is said to have happened in the 1950s, 46 years before Brian Bethel's sightings and writings. So is it possible this story was put up on the internet as something that was just totally made up? Well, I don't know, guys. So y'all drop me a comment down below and let me know what y'all think. So let's take a look into Brian Bethel's sighting. Now, Brian stated he was sitting in his car filling out a check that he needed to drop off at a nearby internet provider when he was startled by a sudden knock on his window. As he looked up and saw two kids standing there. Now, as he saw the kids, he couldn't explain the fear that engulfed him. They were just kids, but with the feeling that something was just wrong with them. He just didn't know what at the moment, as he rolled down his window just enough to talk to them. The oldest of the two boys asked for a ride to their mother's house. The boy claimed that they were going to the movies but forgot their money at home and needed a ride so they could make it back in time for the movie. The movie theater was close enough for Brian to see the movies and what time they started. So he asked the two boys what movie they were going to see. Mortal Kombat, the boy said. Brian looked at the sign and knew that the movie had started already. Also, he felt that there was just something wrong with the boys. I just felt wrong with the way the boy spoke was strange as well. It just didn't seem natural to him. And also they didn't sound as young as they looked. Just let us in, and we'll be gone before you know it. We'll go to our mother's house, said the oldest boy. With everything the oldest boy was saying to Brian, the more Brian was starting to feel shivers run down his spine. It was about this moment when he saw them, their eyes, that is, their pitch black eyes, empty, soulless eyes with no real substance to them. Just lifeless, nothing there. Bethel didn't even try to cover or hide his horror from them at this point. The oldest boy again said, "Come on, mister, we won't hurt you. You have to let us in. We don't have a gun." As the boy continued to talk, Bethel knew he had to get out of there. He threw his car in reverse as the boy was still yelling to be let in. As he threw his car in drive, he glanced back to where the boys had been. But now they were no longer there. The black-eyed boys had just vanished, it seemed. Just like with most reports, Before you ever see the black eye, you know something is wrong. Just a feeling of dread or fear, you know something's wrong. Just like this next story. Back in November of 2012, a gas station attendant had a terrifying encounter. The gas station was creepy enough at 3 a.m. in the morning. The power went out, followed shortly by the lights on his cell phone. But luckily this station had a generator and the attendant was able to get it running. But the backup lights that ran off of the generator was dim and only lit up certain areas of the gas station. The cash area and the outside gas lights were the brightest, while the rest was cloaked in darkness. While looking out the station's window into the darkness, he noticed 3 children on bikes were heading his way. As the children made their way to the front door, they stood at the door just staring at the attendant. He felt creeped out about the kids just staring at him. But it was just too late for kids this age to be out. So he opened the door and asked if they were okay. A young girl asked to use the phone. Thinking something might be wrong, the attendant went to hand the girl his cell phone. That was when he noticed the girl's eyes. They were solid black. As he shouted out for them to leave, he slammed the door and locked it back. Now the children just stood there, looking at him through the glass door. For the attendant, it seemed forever. Horrified, the attendant just felt fear at this point. Finally, the children got onto their bikes and just rode away, disappearing back into the darkness from which they came. Finally came morning, and with the power being back on, the attendant was excited to go over the surveillance footage. But with the power outage cutting off the cameras, he had nothing. The generator hadn't kicked the surveillance cameras back on. So with nothing to show but just a story. From military men to house cats. It seems that whatever the encounter is with the black-eyed children, there is just one reaction to them. Terror. Absolute terror. So are these children as evil as they appear to be? Yes, they inspire true feelings of dread and terror. But what are these kids? Are they demons, vampires, aliens? I don't know. There is almost no reports of people letting these kids into their house. So they may be sinister in nature. But again, they may just be innocent children. I just know one thing. If I see one, he or she is not coming home with me. There are hundreds of thousands of people every year around the world that goes missing. And who knows, black-eyed children may be responsible for many of them. I'm not going to take a chance on it. So stay safe out there, guys. And far as children goes, always make sure you can see the white of their eyes. Remember to like and subscribe down below and join us next week for another video. So every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will be revisiting the black-eyed children again. There are just too many stories out there to go over in one video. We haven't even scratched the surface yet. So keep a watch out for that one. Thanks for watching Those Endless Mysteries.